Justice has just announced Walt Green, the U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Louisiana, has to resign. State leaders expecting some bad news about the state's budget. We've talked about this for a while. The fiscal year's final budget deficit expected to be in the $300 to $500 million range. That turns out to be true. Opens the door for cuts to higher education and health care, because those are the only two areas not protected constitutionally. They've been continually hacked into, actually, for years. But according to State Senator J.P. Morrell, the fate of Louisiana's budget could actually be in the hands of the National Congress.
If Congress were to repeal the Affordable Care Act without a replacement, it would implode the budget of the state of Louisiana.
That replacement plan could come with some help from Republican Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy. Cassidy proposing legislation to replace the ACA with grants and health care tax credits. Yesterday, Governor Edwards and 3 of the 370,000 plus Louisianians who are currently receiving care under the Affordable Care Act took a stand to save the current system.
Medicaid expansion works. It benefits people. It improves lives. It saves lives. And I'm willing to work with the Trump administration, with the new Secretary of Health and Human Services, with our congressional delegation to make sure that we protect what we have in Louisiana.
As the law stands, the federal government covers all of the extra expenses incurred through this expansion. That will decrease to 90% by the year 2027. The 10% difference, of course, that would then have to be covered by the state. You saw Governor John Bel Edwards right there, of course, on a plane to Italy today, talking about human trafficking. Italy dealing with their own issues, and of course Louisiana battling that as well. That is what our governor and some other state leaders are doing today. We are right now $304 million away from a balanced budget. This means if the governor has his way, we're going to need another special session. This would allow the legislature to spread those budget cuts across more areas, avoid larger cuts to already gutted areas like higher education, health care. Legislators, the legislators themselves, kind of some mixed opinions in the plan. Some resisting the costly special session, others proposing their own rebalancing measures. Have much more on all of this over at WAFB.com at your leisure. The task force on structural changes in budget and tax policy also taking a look at the state's books, and they've come up with a definitive conclusion. Louisiana's tax system needs a wholesale change, and it needs to happen now. They're calling for lower tax rates, which they say can be achieved if there are fewer tax breaks. The only question now, whether or not lawmakers will actually heed that advice. Despite questions regarding the future of funding, the Louisiana Board of Elementary and Secondary Education approving the 3 new charter schools yesterday. 30 similar schools already dealing with financial uncertainty after the Louisiana First Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that funding state chartered schools with money meant to pay for local public schools violates the state constitution. The ruling is on hold while the case makes its way to the Louisiana Supreme Court. Johnny boy, busy day for lawmakers up at the Capitol today. They're going to attempt to find some ways to fill a $300 million plus budget gap. Now, we've already been told many departments are going to be hurting after the inevitable budget cuts to come. Our Kevin Fry is going to be up there. Keep you posted on later editions of 9 News at WAFB.com. One department that's already been cut pretty much to the bone right through it over the years, higher education. $8.5 million in cuts at LSU have been proposed again here to close a budget gap left over from last year. According to LSU President F. King Alexander, this is going to be the 16th cut in 9 years for this school. This means courses have been cut. LSU's down 500 faculty members from a decade ago, many of them actually taken by rival schools prepared to pay more, or pretty much anything. Also on the Capitol docket today, body cameras for police. The Body Camera Implementation Task Force is going to be meeting this afternoon. Members of that task force expected to present new guidelines for body camera use and procedures, which would, of course, then be handed down to all Louisiana agencies who actually use the cameras. Baton Rouge Metro Council also taking on policing reform. Of course, reform's been a hot topic in the capital city since the deadly shooting of Alton Sterling over the summer. Today's meeting in City Hall going to be serving kind of as a jumping off point for creating and implementing some new policies, maybe some new attitudes. It's also, of course, the issue, the big issue for incoming Mayor President Sharon Western Broome. She's promised to address that as well. We'll see. Again, maybe the conversation and more than that gets going today. There's still a long way to go for state lawmakers as they try to come together on a budget compromise. Most of the negotiations and discussions happening behind closed doors right now, but from what we've seen on the other side of those doors, don't appear to be going real well.
I mean, we've been hearing all the talk about not using the rainy day fund. We hadn't seen any cuts. You got to propose cuts if you want to deal with this budget in a responsible way.
Well, I gave him a plan. You were next to him. We were all in the decent-sized room, and we proposed cuts, and he didn't like them. So when you say we need to propose cuts, you need to preference it that we have proposed cuts. You all just didn't like them. And when I asked for a number to meet in the middle, You didn't do that either.
That was from the House Appropriations Committee. That was Wednesday before the advanced two budget proposals, both of which use less money from that rainy day fund than the governor had actually hoped for. The rollback on rainy day fund use would mean lawmakers would have to approve more cuts to things like higher education once again and the Department of Corrections. Despite the governor's efforts to try and protect both of these departments this time around, it is still unclear what the plan will look like once it makes its way to the governor's desk. But our Capitol correspondent Kevin Fry going to be staked out at the Capitol, bringing you the very latest on everything the special session has to offer. Again, just 10 days of special session, so ticking that clock is. See you in a minute. Well, then there's this. A recent study ranked Louisiana in the bottom 10% when it comes to women living in poverty, female homicides, and wage gaps between men and women. Enter Helena Moreno. She's a state representative from New Orleans looking to change those statistics. Launched the Ignite Advocacy Network as an alert system for anyone interested in women's issues. As Moreno explains it, it's a way for people to be aware of and participate in women's issues.
Your legislator, or whether it's writing a letter to the editor, or even appearing at a hearing. It's so that we can really show legislators and policymakers that people across the state really care about these issues, that it's not just, the 20 activists that you've been seeing a lot at the Capitol, that this is actually something that really matters to people in Louisiana.
1,600 people, in fact, signed up for the system in just the first 4 days. You can check out the website igniteforchange.org for some more information and to sign up for the program. Last night, Commissioner of Administration Jay Darden lit the fourth candle of the Hanukkah menorah. Many gathering to watch the event. Remember the miracle of Old Jerusalem. That's what that's about. Each night, of course, that new flame is added to the one there at the Capitol and, of course, in the homes of millions across the country. Today is also the third day of Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa celebration of African heritage, African American culture. Each day of the holiday marked with a symbolic candle lighting of a certain principle as well. So from Christmas to Hanukkah to Kwanzaa, happy and merry. With this new year comes new laws, 19 new or updated laws taking effect as soon as the clock struck 12. That'd be Sunday morning. One biggie, a hike in water system fees, which you're going to pay for drinking water inspections, they tell us. Another big law allows state museums to hire their own police officers. Again, you had about 19 new or updated laws taking effect. In addition to those new laws, we've got new folks writing the laws. Baton Rouge, you got two new council members going to be sworn in. Dwight Hudson from the 9th District, Barbara Freiberg, of course, for the 12th District. Additionally, the Metro Council will be voting on electing their President Pro Tem a little bit later on this morning. That position currently held by District 1 Councilman Chandler Liu. Well, whoever the council elects as Pro Tem, of course, will be responsible for filling in for the newly elected Mayor-President, Sharon Weston Broome, if she's unable to attend those meetings. One event she will definitely be attending, though, of course, the inauguration tonight, the River Center there, the theater. The event and the after party open to the public. Broome is asking attendees to bring donations for the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank as well. One little canned item ought to do it. In D.C., a new class of senators, representatives as well, set to take on the Capitol tomorrow, including Louisiana's very own WAFB Republican John Kennedy. Says once he's sworn in, of course, he'll resign as state treasurer. Kennedy, one of 8 new senators on the Hill in 2017. Of course, Republicans have the majority, both houses up there at the Capitol. Those newly minted lawmakers don't seem like they're going to be wasting any time. You got there Mayor Broome scheduled to address the business community, Baton Rouge Area Chamber tomorrow. In fact, she's expected to address increased minimum wages, better benefits for Baton Rouge workers. Both of those part of her campaign platform. We'll see. Again, inauguration is today, tomorrow. Have it all for you. All right, stay with us. Coming back with a look at what you can expect from us tomorrow on 9 News This Morning.
John Kennedy just left his position as state treasurer 1 week ago, and the race to be the next state treasurer is on.
I think the position's turned into more of a watchdog position, and those are things that I have advocated for since being in the legislature. Strong fiscal policies, conservative economic policies.
Representative John Schroeder was the first to jump into the race. He's served in the state house for 9 years and has come out strong against the state's budget, at one point calling it, quote, structurally broken. As treasurer, he says he wants to spend state money wisely. Several other leaders have floated their names around as possible candidates, including a handful of Republicans. At this point, the election is set for October. Ron J. Henson is currently serving as interim treasurer. At this point, no one else has officially announced their candidacy. Now, speaking of finances, students have already seen large cuts to the scholarship program TOPS. Now, some of those cuts could become permanent. The Board of Regents is recommending a cut to scholarships for freshmen and sophomores. Now, under the new merit-based proposal, freshmen would pay 20% of their tuition, sophomores would pay 10%, while juniors and seniors would have their tuition completely covered. That would only happen if students complete 30 credit hours over both semesters, summer school and intercession. Thanks so much, Johnny. You know, while we were opening presents and celebrating the holidays, Governor John Bel Edwards was busy filling vacancies on Louisiana's college management boards. Edwards appointed 6 new members to the Board of Regents, 5 new members to the Southern System Board, and 4 to the UL System Board. The highly coveted positions are generally given to top campaign supporters. Edwards continued this trend with at least 3 appointees contributing to his campaign. One notable appointee, Charles McDonald, a former state lawmaker from Sterlington who worked to create the TOPS tuition program.
Johnny, thank you. Leaders at Angola Prison could be facing some serious questions. This after a recent state audit. Auditors finding several potential violations of state law, state constitution, and the Department of Public Safety and Corrections policies. In fact, this comes after a pretty rocky year for the prison system. Several corrections officers arrested on allegations ranging from theft to rape. A full investigative report on these alleged violations should be released later today. We'll make sure to keep you updated. Another state audit shedding some light on why the Comeet River Diversion Canal project has yet to break ground truly. The planned diversion canal has 27 construction components. Since 2000, only 1 has been completed. Auditors say a lack of consistent money is the primary reason for the project delay with Army Corps of Engineers. Some say had the canal been completed before August flooding, it could have lessened or even prevented portions of that flooding, and subsequent damage followed. Well, one of Bobby Jindal's biggest backers is in the congressional hot seat right now. Betsy DeVos is the nominee for Secretary of Education from Donald Trump, but has yet to be confirmed. One reason for the delay could be her controversial stance on school choice. Like the former governor, DeVos is a proponent of the program, which would allow families to pick and choose which school they wanted to attend, regardless of where they live, possibly receiving tuition vouchers as well. Opponents say it's going to be putting public school funding at risk, while proponents say it has the potential to improve students' educational experiences. We'll see. A lot to get to on some of those back and forths at committee. All right, Johnny, thank you. Former Angola Warden Burl Cain will not be going before a grand jury. Instead, the district attorney is now handing the case over to the state inspector general. Cain, coming under fire after a recent state audit questioned his handling of prison finances, claims that he abused prison resources for personal use. Cain says the findings are not accurate, but he still wants the inspector general to take a closer look. People in Ascension Parish are asking FEMA for more time. Doing what? Well, a local recovery group is launching a petition to extend the deadline for proof of loss forms. Of course, these forms are needed if you want to get insurance money for things lost during the flood. The current deadline is actually quickly approaching. It's February 12th, but the group wants to push that back now to August. Today, they're going to be holding a meeting at the Venue Rental Hall there on Quality Lane in Gonzales to raise awareness and educate people on the forms. It's happening from 5 to 9 p.m. Of course, plenty of flood victims could use a little bit of legal advice to get through those tricky forms. Today, you can get some help, and it's for free. Attorneys from the Baton Rouge Bar Foundation Pro Bono Project going to be on hand giving out free legal advice. It could be actually about flood recovery or really any other legal matter you need some help with. It's happening at the Charles R. Kelly Community Center right here in Baton Rouge. It's going to go from 9:30 this morning, so get started here quickly. It's going to run until 11 o'clock this morning. Consultations are on a first-come, first-served basis, so if you want to ensure you get help, you should probably make sure you arrive early, which means leave now. It starts in 30 minutes. Thank you. The investigation will continue today at the air gas store in Geismar. Of course, it suffered that fire early yesterday morning. Companies saying they were able to get everyone out early yesterday. One person, though, did sustain, they tell us, minor injuries during that fire. But again, the investigation, exactly what caused it, picking up this morning. FEMA will continue helping flood victims cover their rent. Continued temporary housing assistance is essentially an extension of the current rental assistance program, but that is set to end this month. And once the program ends, victims can continue receiving assistance for at least another 3 months, but they must continue searching for a permanent housing option. That's part of the deal. An organization that helps feed hundreds of kids in Livingston Parish is asking for volunteers and donations now. Mighty Moms ensures kids don't go hungry on the weekends, and they do this, hundreds of bags of groceries, and some dedicated helpers have been doing it for a while. But of course, their storeroom was just devastated during the flooding in August. Their efforts have been really cut in half at a time when more and more people could really use a helping hand.
We also need volunteers. A lot of our volunteers are flooded too, and they're overwhelmed as well. So we need people to help us with shopping and picking up food and helping us unload and packing bags.
Now, if you're interested in getting involved with Mighty Moms, you can check out the full story. It's waiting for you at WAFB.com. Johnny, thank you. Hyundai is recalling nearly 978,000 cars in the United States. This is because of an issue with the front seat belts. Hyundai is saying the front seat belts in their Sonata mid-size sedan could detach and prove, well, useless during crashes. The issue affects sedans from 2011 through 2014 and the Sonata Hybrid from 2011 through 2015. The trouble was actually discovered in September when an owner reported that the front passenger belt in a 2013 Sonata came loose in a collision. Owners are going to be notified starting April 7th, but we're letting you know right now. Dealers will inspect that seatbelt anchor system and they'll repair it if it needs to be repaired. All right, stay with us. Coming back with a look at what is still ahead for you on CBS This Morning. And beginning in, about 5 minutes, one eastbound lane and one westbound lane is going to be closed. US 190 there at the Mississippi River Bridge. That lane closure is going to take place every day this week from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only vehicles smaller than 11 feet across are going to be able to pass through the construction zone because, again, it's just one lane. Stay up to date with the detours and the latest traffic, of course, with our First Alert Traffic app. No one better than Johnny Asian to keep you kind of headed in that right direction. Hey, early voting is now open for Louisiana's March 25th municipal elections. You got 37 parishes holding elections for a whole host of proposals and positions. A good number of those in our viewing area. You got Livingston, Catch Pope, Point Capee. You got Jefferson, that's obviously a little out east. East Feliciana parishes, to name a few. For more information about how, when, and where you can punch that ballot of yours, check out the always helpful Go Vote app or WAFB.com. Early voting ends on Saturday. All right, stay with us. We'll see you in a moment.